Have you heard the stories, the whispers in the dead of night? They say he's out there, lurking, waiting. Jeff the Killer. Some dismiss it as just another urban legend, a spooky tale to frighten children, but I know different. I know the truth. The air grows colder when his name is spoken. A shiver crawls down your spine. You try to ignore it, but you can't. He's there. He's real. It started like so many horrors do, with an ordinary family, the Morgans. They were new to our street, quiet, kept to themselves. Their son, Jeffrey, was different. He always wore that same unnerving grin. His eyes, though, those were what chilled you to the bone. Empty, devoid of life. He never spoke much, just stared, that unsettling smile never leaving his face. I remember feeling uneasy around him, a sense of wrongness. I should have listened to my instincts. The screams started in the dead of night, blood-curdling, primal. They echoed through the empty streets, sending shivers down your very soul. Then silence, an eerie, unsettling silence that was somehow louder than the screams. I remember lying in bed, heart pounding. The next morning the whispers began. The Morgans, gone, vanished without a trace. Only whispers remained, and fear of what went bump in the night. Years passed. The whispers faded to hushed tones. The fear, however, lingered, a constant shadow in the back of our minds. Then the disappearances started again, always at night. Always accompanied by the same calling card, a carved smile on the victim's face. People whispered of a figure lurking in the shadows, a pale face with unnaturally wide eyes and a grotesque carved grin. They called him Jeff the Killer. Section 5. The truth distorted. The stories spread like wildfire, igniting imaginations and fears alike. Whispers in the dark alleys, hushed conversations behind closed doors, each tale more chilling than the last, each retelling more gruesome than the last. Fact blurred with fiction, creating a tapestry of horror that no one could unravel. The bloody handprints, the shadowy figures lurking in the corners of our minds. Reality became a distorted mirror, reflecting our deepest fears and darkest desires. The broken shards of truth lay scattered, each piece showing a different, twisted version of events. Some said he was a vengeful spirit, a ghostly figure haunting the foggy forests and abandoned houses. His presence was felt in the chill of the night air, in the creaking of old floorboards. Others believed he was a product of urban decay, a manifestation of the neglect and despair that plagued our cities. The graffiti-covered walls and run-down streets were his domain. A monster born from the darkness that festered in our hearts, feeding on our fears and insecurities. The dark forests and creepy basements were his hunting grounds, where he thrived on the terror he inspired. But what was the truth? Was he real, or just a figment of our collective imagination? The old dusty book with truth written on it held no answers, only more questions. Or just a manifestation of our deepest fears. The shadowy figure lurking in the dark, the person looking terrified in the corner of the room, were they real or just projections of our own minds? A boogeyman to scare us into submission? The dark silhouette in the alley, the child hiding under the bed, were they victims of a real monster or just the products of our overactive imaginations? The line between sanity and madness began to blur. The person staring at the cracked mirror, the close-up of the eye filled with fear, were they seeing the truth, or just losing their grip on reality? Section 6. Descent into Madness. I became obsessed, devouring every newspaper article, every whispered rumor. I had to know the truth about Jeff the Killer. Sleep became a distant memory. My nights were consumed by research, by the desperate need to understand, to make sense of the senseless. But the more I learned, the less I understood. The line between reality and nightmare faded. Was I losing my mind, or was the truth even more terrifying? Section 7. Faces in the Mirror. One night I woke with a start. My heart pounded in my chest. I could feel it. He was here, watching, waiting. I stumbled to the bathroom, my reflection a stranger staring back at me. My eyes were wide, haunted. Was that fear I saw, or madness? A noise, scratching, coming from the window. I turned slowly, every nerve on high alert. The scratching stopped. Silence, then laughter, soft but chillingly real, right outside my door. Section 8. The Man Who Couldn't Sleep. I haven't slept since that fateful night. The night when everything changed, when my world was turned upside down. I remember it vividly, as if it happened just yesterday. The darkness, the silence, and then the sudden, inexplicable fear that gripped my heart. Every creak of the floorboard, every rustle of leaves outside my window sends my heart racing. Is it him? The man who haunts my dreams, who turns my nights into a living nightmare. I can never be sure, but the fear is always there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to pounce. Is he finally here to claim me? To carve his horrific smile onto my face? The thought alone is enough to send shivers down my spine. I can see his shadowy figure standing outside my window, his sinister face barely visible in the dark. He is always there, watching, waiting. The fear is a constant gnawing presence. It never leaves me, not for a moment. It clutches at my chest, making it hard to breathe, hard to think. My eyes are always wide open, always searching for any sign of him. But he is elusive, always just out of reach. The line between reality and nightmare has vanished entirely. I can no longer tell what is real and what is a figment of my imagination. My vision blurs, my mind screams in terror. The darkness is suffocating, the silence deafening. I am trapped in this endless cycle of fear and despair. I'm lost in a labyrinth of my own making. Each turn, each corridor leads me deeper into the abyss. There is no escape, no way out. The walls close in around me, the shadows grow longer, and the laughter echoes in my ears. It is a never-ending nightmare, a prison of my own mind, haunted by the shadows and the laughter. He wins, you see. He has taken over my life, my thoughts, my very soul. The shadows dance on the walls, the eerie laughter fills the empty room. I am powerless against him, a mere puppet in his hands. Even if he's not real, the fear he instills is. The fear is real. It is the only thing that is real. My hands tremble, my heart races, and my mind is consumed by the terror. I am a prisoner of my own fear, a victim of my own mind, and there is no escape. Section 9. Alone in the darkness. So, I sit here, in the darkness, waiting, listening, for the inevitable. The silence is deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the old house settling. Shadows dance on the walls, playing tricks on my mind. Every flicker of the light feels like a prelude to something sinister. The air is thick with anticipation, and my heart races with every passing second. For the moment he steps out of the shadows and into my reality. Maybe he's real, maybe he's not. The line between reality and imagination blurs in the darkness. I can almost hear his footsteps, slow and deliberate, echoing through the empty halls. My breath catches in my throat as I strain to see through the inky blackness. Is it just my mind playing tricks, or is there really someone there? But one thing's for sure. The stories we tell ourselves in the dark are the ones that haunt us the most. They creep into our thoughts, taking root and growing into something monstrous. Every creak, every whisper of the wind becomes a part of the narrative, feeding our fears. The darkness has a way of amplifying our deepest anxieties, turning them into something almost tangible. And sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we create ourselves. Our minds are powerful, capable of conjuring up horrors that feel all too real. We become prisoners of our own imagination, trapped in a web of our own making. The darkness becomes a canvas for our fears, painting vivid pictures of terror that linger long after the lights come back on. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more terrifying tales from the dark corners of the internet. Sleep tight. And remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones we tell ourselves. Until next time, stay safe and keep the lights on.